Well, I'm on with the little brass guard at the moment in front of the handle. It's a piece of brass, and I'm just gonna kind of etch that design into it with the little rotary tool with a burr in it, a little burr or burl. Don't know how this is going to turn out. Let's have a look. I tell you what, I'll come back when I've done it. Got that finished up. Just ran the little burr along inside them marks. I've come up with that. It looks nice, but I'm not like blown away by it. And I've decided I'm going to use this for now, but what I am going to do is I'm going to make one out of some wood as a pattern, and then I'm going to cast one in brass. So when I get my smelting stuff set up, I'm going to melt some brass and I'm going to cast something really nice in brass with maybe, quite fancy the idea of having like a bonsai tree growing around the guard. I'll come up with something. So that's that, and that can be slid onto the sword. So we're up to there. I've got to make that little spacer for there, little brass spacer. I'm just going to solder that up in a minute. And what I've done with this, I've used 2 pieces of brass to clamp around the blade. Well, to clamp up to the blade, and I'm going to weld that, I'm going to silver solder that little piece into there, so it just clamps up, and it'll actually form the exact shape of the blade. That and I'll have to solder a really skinny piece into the bottom there just to fill it up, and that will fit just up to the sword edge, and the guard will sit onto it. I've already made this little brass, this like brass kind of cup that sits on the handle, and I've made the handle as well. I made the handle, it's pretty straightforward really. It was some yellow pine I had, really light, and it's for its weight, it just weighs nothing, but it's a really strong timber, this, and it's some old stuff I had. It's probably 100 years old. It was part of an old, I don't know what it was. It was some big timbers out that came out of a roof, I think. Well, donkeys years ago I've had it, but it's nice, really straight grain and very strong. So I just took 2 thin strips, opened them up, drew the pattern of the hilt of the sword in, and cut it out halfway into each side, clamped it together, glued it up, and that's what we've got. So that fits on there. There's other YouTube videos on making these things, so I don't see the point in going through all that. So that little brass spacer I made, or the brass collar should I say, that just sits onto that. Now I've got some array skin which I'm going to stick to the sides of that, which the wrapping, which you can actually see that through the wrapping, and the wrapping came yesterday, so I'll be wrapping that in the next day or 2. So I just want to get that little collar made now, and I'm going to put it in there, and I'm just going to silver solder it together. So I'm going to show you how I silver solder. There's plenty of videos again on silver soldering, but I've tried to do it before with propane, and I've just not been able to get the work hot enough, and it's just simple really if you think about it. So I'll show you how I did it. So I've got my two little pieces clamped in there, and when I've tried to silver solder we're just sort of holding a piece out in the air as it were. I've just not been able to get the piece hot enough and to get the silver solder running, and I even thought about going and buying a map gas canister and a burner, you know, because it burns a bit hotter, but you really don't need to do that. All you need to do is build a little defence wall around just to keep some of the heat and radiate it back onto the work. So that's just a little bit of kale wool, just put around the sides, and I'm just gonna, it's just ordinary propane this. I'm just gonna put the propane on it and I'll show you just how easy it is. You don't need a massive flame with the propane. Just get this adjusted. You can see the kale wool kind of reflects the heat back against the work. You soon have the brass cooking hot. Is that camera in focus? Let's go out a bit. Is that better? Sorry about that. So like I say, it's very reflective, the kale wool. I'll just get some heat, so I'm going to put a bit of silver solder flux onto it. And I'll also put some flux on the silver solder itself. Why does my torch always decide to turn itself down when you start the soldering? It's cooled down now. Go on, man, you can do it. There we go, the silver's running. You see that? More flux. That's it done. That's the piece soldered. If I'd had a piece of solid brass good enough to do this job, I would have just made it out of solid brass, I think. Well, I didn't, so this is kind of a workaround. So I'm going to solder that little piece into the back now, providing the silver solder didn't run down and solder itself in there already, which I don't think it did. No, we're okay. So I'll just cool that down, then I can readjust it, the spacer. So I soldered that up, that top piece, that was the bottom, and I put that little spacer in there. Put a little spacer in there, soldered it up. I've just slid that up against the actual blade itself. There's the guard, brass ring and the handle. My next task, I'm going to clean that up in a minute, just give that a good sanding and a nice polish, get it shiny like the guard, and then I'm going to put the race skin onto this handle. It's not really happening this, although that's it came out okay. There's a little ding in there where the mole grips were holding it while I was soldering it. Because the brass got really soft, it's deformed into the shape of the mole grip, so I can't polish that out. It's a bit of a pain. So what I'm going to do, it's not thick enough to polish out. Change of tack. I've got a bit of brass sheet there, so I'm just going to cut it out, and I'm actually going to bend it around the top of the blade. So I wrap it around and then just silver solder the bottom up. So I'm going to cut that out now. Let's try that. Let's try this, see what happens. It cracks. That's what happens. Plan 3. Take 2. This is a bit thinner, and I know it's brass. I'm not so sure if that is. So I've just wrapped that around the top of the sword, and I'm just tapping away at it. Form it to the shape. I don't think you want to watch me tapping that for 10 minutes, so I'll come back if I get anywhere near it. I have success. So I've just got to solder the bottom of that up now. Good to go. Finished. Got it soldered in. Got it all done. Fits beautifully onto the sword. Lovely. Yeah. Been quite problematic, that thing. I just kept making stupid mistakes when I was doing it. Oh, anyway, it's done now. Know how to do it next time. Was a guard. Very nice. I think I'm ready to wrap the handle. I've got to drill through the handle because I'll be putting a pin through there to hold the handle on through that hole. I'm going to put a brass pin in. Traditionally I think they put bamboo in, but I prefer a piece of brass to bamboo. Okay. So I got hold of some rate skin, and this is for the sides of the handle, and what I've done, I've just made a template to the shape, just over 1 inch wide I think that is. I want to fit this to there, so I need 2 strips of that. I'm going to take it, I'm going to take right out the centre because it's quite coarse there and bumpy. So So it's going to be more even if I take it from either side of that. So I'd say about there. Somewhere there. Should have transferred this onto a bit of card really, and then I could have there's an air show going on here today. Bloody noisy. Plane's coming over. Only about a mile from the beach, and that's where it's being held. I think these gilboes should cut this, okay. Yeah. No problem. Behingo. Right, which side is which? That looks right for them. I'll just glue this on here. I've just glued them strips on with contact adhesive. Them edges are just popping a little bit, so I'm going to wrap it up with some string. I think. Just hold it down. I've got nothing wider than this, unfortunately. It should do the job. That's got it. It's got it jaw trapped down on the edges. I'll give that an hour or so, and then I'm just going to sand them or file them, just so that they're smooth and there's no hard edge against that wood. I've got the little spacer to make for the back, which I'm going to do out of buffalo horn. Nice and black. I've got a block of it there, which is probably going to be better. Yeah, so I'll cut that up, and I will. I'm just going to clean it up first, because I think, yeah, well, the grain obviously does run that way. So I'm just going to clean that up and polish it and see what it looks like, because I may have to orientate it. I may have to do it that way, not that way. We'll see. So just polished that up, sanded it down, polished it. It's nice. This is, of course, the it's water buffalo. This, not the beast wandering around the American plains. You can see the grain, and I'm pretty sure that stuff is pressed on, you know, with a massive press, and it's just compressed into square blocks. Whereas, you know, you can imagine that has a grain pattern running that way, kind of. You can see the swirls in it there. Whereas that is the same, but it's been squashed together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it that way on the end of the handle, like that, rather than like that, or all that end grain and that little tiny fault in the centre will show up on the back, and it will also be stronger that way because the layers are kind of running through it that way. I shaped the buffalo horn to the handle. I've got that little slot in it there, you can see, and that's for the cord or the handle wrap to go through. The technical Japanese name for the stuff is called handle wrappy. So that wrappy goes through there and sort of holds that on, but I think it's that way, isn't it? Yeah. It needs a little peg in there to go in there, just to lock it into place and stop it kind of moving about. So I want to make that now, and I'll just make it out of buffalo horn and just glue it in there. So that'll be the tenon and a little mortise for it to just sit in. Here they come! Just over the house. You gotta be quick. They're right over the beach, which is just there. There they go. Chucks away, Ginger! Go somewhere. There he is. Right, you can smell the jet fuel. Now we're done. There they go. You see them? Now they've gone off into the distance. Things I do for you lot, even organise an air show for you. Back to the Katana. Those there red arrows have definitely gone. There used to be a lot more activity over the house, but since that air show crash a month or two back, I think they've kind of restricted everything into over the beach now, over the beach area, so you can't quite see the, you know, what they're getting up to. That amazing where they fly in formation and then one of them does a kind of a barrel roll around the group. It looks incredible, that. Well, anyway, we missed that this year. So I've just drilled a little mortise in there. I'm just putting that piece in, and that'll be locked into the handle. Finished off the handle as much as I need to do to get it ready for wrapping. Butt cap, handle cap, whatever it is. That's all been polished. Looks really nice. Put a little tenon on it. Just goes in, sits into there. Stops it wobbling around. The wrap goes through that. I filed them corners down as well, just them edges. I took a file and just sort of seated them against the timber, so it should wrap nicer. I've been looking at these. I've been looking at them wrapping these things, and it looks like unless you've got something to hold the handle while you turn it, you're going to need about 19 pairs of hands to do it with. 6 clamps and some imagination. So I'm just going to make something simple just to hold the handle so I can rotate it. I've been looking at some videos, the Japanese guys wrapping these, and they have like a little workstation with a couple of drawers in, and I'm just trying to figure out the mechanism, what's inside just holding the handle. I'll do that. Then I'll be back and we'll wrap the handle, which should be immense fun.